Hello friends and welcome to my Space Engineers video about my planetary insertion vehicle, which is more colloquially more known as a drop pod. Okay, so today I'm going to be giving you an overview of these machines here, which will simply just disconnect from these connectors and drop down into a planet. They are gravity driven by these mass blocks here, and that means that they of course need a gravity generator in order to function. They are largely inexpensive. They're mostly just steel plates. On the top here we have the connector with 4 timer blocks and a remote control block underneath it. We don't really need 4 timer blocks, it's just I had put down 4 when I was building it in anticipation of needing more than one, but I only really need one. We have 4 artificial mass blocks on the top here. Moving into the center, we have 2 text panels which display. This top panel here activates when you disconnect from the connector and start beginning your drop. This bottom panel here displays when the external thrusters on the bottom here begin to fire, trying to prevent you from becoming smush. Obviously, here are the thrusters. Here's the battery that will power it once it disconnects from the connector. I didn't want to put any reactor in. Even though it is smaller, it probably won't provide as much output, and you can't charge a reactor through a connector. We have 4 artificial mass blocks just below that, along with an overridden gyroscope that will hopefully keep this thing from tipping. 4 more mass blocks, another 5 mass blocks. These can probably be moved, but I haven't really made that decision yet. And then a sensor block on the bottom, which will detect asteroids and fire these thrusters. Hopefully planets will be counted as asteroids as such for sensor purposes and allow you to slow down before it crashes you into the ground. Okay, so now we're going for a test. It is possible I may miss my landing zone. I have done it once, and I can't make it any larger because of the way voxels work. But let's go ahead, hop into this dropship, connect to the remote control, and I'll show you our toolbar here. That is a lot of mass blocks. Here we have the timer block, which controls the connector on the top, the recharge or discharge function of the battery, and the antimatter blocks, as well as the text screen in front of me like I displayed earlier. This one here is just emergency shut off from the thrusters, because once you hit a planet the sensor's destroyed and it can't really turn off the thrusters. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit 1, and just, there we go, disconnected, beginning drop. So now we have been propelled away from the ship, and we have also been kicked out of the remote control because the power was lost for a brief second, and we are heading towards our landing zone. It appears we're coming in on our landing zone. I'll rotate the camera so you can see the thrusters just as they fire when we hit the ground, and hopefully we don't completely miss it. Hey, there we go. We have successfully landed our drop pod. I probably should turn those thrusters off. That would be a good idea. Or maybe that's the only thing keeping the ship up. Nope. Okay, cool. As you can see, it does make a little bit of an impact crater when it hits the ground. If the ground is not thick enough, it will punch straight through and fall through. I have had that happen to me a couple of times during testing, which was severely aggravating. No, it wasn't. It wasn't aggravating in the slightest. The bottom screen here should have said thrusters deployed, but for some reason it's offline. I have to fix that. So we've got this here. Once you've landed on a planet, there's really nothing else you can do apart from... Unless there's already a base set up on the planet, there's nothing else you can do apart from disassembling the pod and using those parts to create something. I'm thinking of creating another version that has a cargo container in it, so you can just completely drop supplies straight to a planet without having to worry about carrying stuff on you, which will of course increase your weight, increase the drop pod's weight, and cause problems. The problem with carrying stuff in the cargo container drop pod is, of course, that it gets heavier the more stuff you put in, so it's going to need some pretty good thrusters. was thinking of putting on some large thrusters on there to make sure it'll burn retro properly, but then it may burn it too well and continue taking off, which would be a bit of a problem if you've got a continuously buoyant drop pod just bouncing around the landscape. Thanks very much guys for watching my video. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you don't find a detestable pile of excrement. But other than that, this is my first Space Engineers video on my channel. Hopefully I'll be able to make more of just various video games. So, thank you very much for watching.